Hello everyone, I'm Mrs. Risman. I'm Sixth Form Manager and Head of Careers, and in this presentation I will be offering guidance on how to choose your Sixth Form subjects. I will start with the three key things you need to consider when choosing your options. I will then give you some examples of different subject combinations that students might select. I will cover the entry requirements needed for our subjects in terms of what GCSE grade you will need. And I'll be giving you some tips on what you can be doing during your time in the sixth form to help make yourself stand out when you make applications for your next steps in a competitive field. And finally, I will give you a brief overview of the destinations of students who left SJB in the last couple of years. So in terms of what you need to consider when choosing your subjects for sixth form, firstly, you need to decide which qualification will suit you best. At SJB, we have two qualifications, A-levels and BTECs. Some students choose to take just A-levels, others just BTECs, but many students take a combination of the two. I'll be explaining the differences between these two qualifications to help you decide which will suit you best. Secondly, I will go through the questions you need to be asking to help you decide which subject will suit you best, based on your strengths and your interests. And thirdly, we will consider a few career goals for which there are specific subject requirements. So as I mentioned, we offer two qualification types at SJB, BTECs and A-levels. When you choose your subjects, you're asked to choose just three, and these, as I mentioned, could be A-levels, BTECs or a mixture of the two. They're both classroom-based and both are level 3. This means that they are equal in terms of value. The highest grade at A-level is an A-star, and that carries 56 UCAS points. The highest grade for a BTEC is a distinction star, which also carries 56 points. An A at A-level and a distinction at BTEC are also equal and are carrying 48 points, and so on. Both A-levels and BTECs at SJB are single, standalone qualifications. So by taking three, you are keeping your choices broad so as to keep more options open for the future. I mentioned this just because the BTEC that you can study at other colleges can in fact be studied as a double award, which is the equivalent of 2 A-levels in one subject, or as a triple award, which is a BTEC extended diploma, which is equivalent to 3 A-levels in one subject, both of which mean you are significantly narrowing your options. So how are they different? Firstly, A-levels tend to be more academically focused. So when you consider A-levels like history, English or maths, they don't relate directly to a particular industry, whereas the BTEC is more vocationally focused and tends to relate to industry more directly, such as subjects like travel and tourism. But probably the main difference between A-levels and BTECs is the way in which they're assessed. Some of our A-levels are actually 100% exam assessed, and most of the rest are predominantly exam assessed, with just a small coursework element. Only the A-levels with a more practical content will have a slightly higher coursework element, which is subjects like DT and drama. So A-levels would suit you if you tend to perform best in exams, where perhaps maybe the adrenaline from exam nerves sharpens your focus and brings out your best work. BTECs, on the other hand, are more evenly balanced between coursework and exam, with sport having a heavier weighting for coursework than for exam. So BTECs would suit you if perhaps the pressure of exams makes you a bit stressed and anxious, and that means that it doesn't allow you to perform to your best. Whereas the opportunity to prove yourself through continual assessment and coursework allows you to prove your ability. So once you've decided which qualification suits you best, you then need to choose which subjects to take. The starting point has to be to consider what are your favourite subjects. If you enjoyed a subject at GCSE, you're likely to still enjoy it at A-level. But do take care to examine the course content. It might look quite different to what you studied at GCSE, and is that still going to be interesting to you? We offer an exciting range of new subjects in the sixth form, which you won't have studied before, so do take a look at these. You might find a perfect fit. It includes subjects such as sociology, psychology, philosophy and ethics, and economics, as well also as subjects that were offered at GCSE that perhaps you didn't get a chance to try out, such as computer science, media studies, business studies. And even between different A levels, there are differences, as I've already mentioned, in terms of the exam coursework balance. So again, it's a question of making sure you're playing to your strengths. Think about how you like to learn and work. Do you love reading, analysing text and writing essays? Or do you prefer short answer questions and problem solving? Each subject requires its own particular skill set. What's going to suit you best? Most universities don't specify which subjects they want students to have done, but they do all specify their grade requirements, and the more competitive and higher ranking universities can require anything from A star, A, down to 3 A's or 2 A's and a B. So really you need to think about choosing subjects that will allow you to shine, subjects in which you can achieve at your very best. You may decide to supplement your 3 subjects with an EPQ, which is an extended project qualification. This is a qualification that's highly respected by university, and it allows you to demonstrate higher level research skills and to explore a topic or a subject that is not covered within your A-level curriculum. It might be connected with something you want to study at university, and it's a great way to demonstrate your passion and curiosity for a subject. And finally, if you have a particular career goal in mind, and I should just mention that most students don't at this stage, so don't feel bad if you don't, but if you do, you will need to find out if there is a particular subject that is required in order to pursue that career goal. So what types of career goal might specify a particular A-level subject or subjects? It is true that some degrees require specific A-level subjects, and I will come on to those shortly. They tend to be more vocational degrees. It's also true that some universities favour facilitating subjects, and they might even indicate subjects that they won't accept. I'll come on to these shortly too. But it's safe to say that the vast majority of universities make no specific subject requirements. Their focus is simply on the grades that they require, and as mentioned, the higher ranking universities or apprenticeship employers will require the higher grades. So in terms of which degree courses do require specific subjects, medicine, veterinary science, dentistry and pharmacy will always require chemistry and sometimes biology as well. Engineering requires maths and physics at A-level, and physics alongside physics A-level will also require maths. Physiotherapy and nursing usually require a science subject, and that sometimes would be biology, but sometimes it could be psychology or applied science or something else. Other degrees which indicate subjects that they would prefer but not necessarily require are subjects like economics, which prefers students to have studied maths A-level. In fact, in some cases it's actually required. Law requires at least one subject that demonstrates your ability to read, research, analyse and write articulately. So that could be subjects like English, history, or philosophy and ethics. Architecture is a bit of a funny one. Some universities will require maths, others won't need maths but they'll require an arts-related subject, and others make no subject requirements at all because their main focus will be the portfolio. Computer science is rather like economics. They prefer students who have studied maths A-level, and sometimes they actually require this. And contrary to popular opinion, you don't need to have done maths A-level for a degree in accountancy or finance, nor to start an accountancy apprenticeship. So this question I'm asked quite a lot: how do universities regard the BTEC qualification? And the answer is that it depends on the university and how they assess their undergraduates. If they assess predominantly by exam, then they will want their students to be well practiced with exams, so A-levels are a better preparation. However, most universities now assess through a mixture of exams and coursework, so they are very accepting of BTECs. In fact, there are some universities that would now assess exclusively by coursework, so for them, the BTEC is actually better preparation. So in terms of those universities I've mentioned earlier that specify preferred subjects, firstly, there's the Russell Group of Universities, which is a group of research-led universities, and they've produced a publication called Informed Choices, which lists facilitating subjects. But it is important to bear in mind that not all the universities within the Russell Group will mention these facilitating subjects in their entry requirements, and even those that do so only for some of their degrees. And even then, they might say that they would like just one or perhaps two of the student subjects to be from that list. And you can see this list by clicking on the link provided. Cambridge University also produces a publication called The Subject Matters, in which they detail their subject preferences. So some of the more typical subject combinations that our students might consider are shown here. For a student interested in either engineering or computer science, A-level maths would be an obvious choice. Then physics should also be taken for the budding engineer, whilst computer science would make sense for the aspiring computer scientist. Although surprisingly, this isn't an actual requirement, but it definitely would help you to decide if it's a subject that you would like to take further. Then for the engineers, DT is a great option, and physics makes sense for the computer scientists, although that's not actually a requirement. So if it's not a strength of yours, then I wouldn't recommend taking it. Finally, further maths is an example of when it can actually make sense to take as a fourth subject, either as an AS or as a full A-level. But I would caution that that should only make sense if the student is particularly strong at maths and will easily cope with demands of an extra subject. Then we have an aspiring doctor. Chemistry is definitely required, and biology too, usually. The third subject, though, can be anything. Most medical schools do not specify a third subject, so it just needs to be something that the student can get a very good grade in, because they're going to need either AAA or A-star AA for most medicine courses. It is true that the occasional medical school might specify a third science or maths, but the majority definitely won't mind. Then we've got a student who hates exams but wants to continue with science. Applied Science BTEC would be a great first choice, and then I would probably suggest two other BTECs so that you're playing to your strengths and keeping things broad as well. Finally, for a student with a mixed skill set, so not bad at exams, not bad at coursework, but they've got no idea what they want to do and they want to keep things broad, I would suggest doing a combination of A-levels and BTECs, and I would suggest that when you're choosing your A-levels that you don't choose all of them that are high exam proportion. So in terms of our entry requirements, it's important to bear in mind that A-levels are a huge step up from GCSE, and entry requirements for our courses will vary from subject to subject, with some requiring higher grades than others. In fact, even achieving a 7 does not necessarily indicate suitability in some subjects. For example, in maths, the entry requirement for Maths A-level is at least a 7, and you would usually also be in sets 1 to 3 in Year 11. But it's actually possible to achieve a 7 at GCSE and still not be particularly good at algebra. And as there's quite a lot of algebra in the A-level, it's probably worth checking with your maths teacher if they think you will cope with the demands of the Maths A-level. In the sciences, for biology and chemistry, you would need 7/7 in combined science, plus a 6 or above in maths. Whilst for physics, you would need 7/7 in combined science, plus a 7 in maths, and you would also be expected to take Maths A-level alongside the Physics A-level. For psychology, you will need 6s in English, maths and biology. Business and economics requires a 6 in both English and maths. History requires a 6 in English as well as in maths, as well as in history if you took it for GCSE. And for geography, you would need a 6 in geography at GCSE. If you're currently at SJB, you're going to have the chance to try before you buy with our sixth form taster day on Friday the 5th of February, where you will be invited to select 6 subjects to try out on the day. It's a really great chance to find out more about some of our new subjects, as well as to find out if your current favourites are still going to be a good match for you at A-level. But sixth form isn't just about your academic studies. We're preparing you to make a future successful application in a very competitive world. So alongside working really hard in your subjects, we will be encouraging you to take up opportunities to make you stand out from the crowd. All our Year 12 students will do work experience. It's not only an opportunity to find out more about a career that interests you, and that's actually an essential thing to do if you're applying for something like medicine, engineering or architecture. But it also demonstrates that you're prepared to go out of your comfort zone and meet new people in a professional environment, all these being qualities which are highly valued by both employers and admissions tutors. You will also need to be able to show evidence of your passion for your chosen subject or your chosen apprenticeship. Now, you can demonstrate this by undertaking supercurricular activities. Oxford University have created an online hub of such resources in Staircase 12, and this will include wider reading, podcasts, films, articles, and so on, which will allow you to engage in a subject which is of interest to you beyond the confines of the curriculum. You should also be keeping yourself abreast of current affairs through reading a daily broadsheet. This won't only raise your commercial awareness, which is another quality that's highly sought after by both admissions tutors and employers, but it will also ensure that you're kept up to date with any news items which relate to your future course or apprenticeship. So if you're applying for medicine or anything else in healthcare, looking at developments with the NHS would be something that we would expect you to be keeping an eye on, or topical law cases if you're an aspiring lawyer, and so on. I've already mentioned the value of demonstrating your passion through an EPQ. And then there's Head Start, which is the name of a programme of summer schools held at universities in STEM subjects. The engineering courses are particularly valuable as they allow students to explore the different strands of engineering to help them determine the best fit for them before committing to a degree. And then if you were planning to study something like history, then I would suggest that a visit to the Surrey History Centre and maybe even a volunteering role there would enable you to expand your knowledge of local history and demonstrate your passion. And I would encourage all of you to embrace your new sixth form community and get involved. This could be through activities like mentoring or leadership opportunities, either via the sixth form committee or helping out with clubs and societies in younger years. University admissions tutors and apprenticeship employers are all looking for evidence that the applicant is going to get involved with their new community and add value to it. By doing so at SJB Sixth Form, you will be providing evidence that you are that type of person and that you will be bringing those qualities with you to their communities. And finally, look out for the opportunities to demonstrate those interpersonal skills that are so valued by admissions tutors and employers. You can show your teamworking skills through sport or your resilience and your ability to commit through persisting with music or drama or dance and so on. We firmly believe that with SJB you will get where you want to after sixth form. And as you can see here, we do pretty well in terms of grades achieved. And if you discount the 2020 results because they were centre assessed grades and the government is not going to produce league tables from them, we can look at 2019 results where we were ranked number 1 in Surrey for our A-level results. And you can see from what we achieved with 92% A star to C, 42% A star to A and 72% A star to B, you are in very safe hands. But as I've already mentioned, it's absolutely not just about the grades. We pride ourselves in supporting all our students towards whatever next steps they aspire to. All our Year 13 students will be given a mock interview before a panel of 3 interviewers from local businesses. This will actually be done via Zoom for the current year group. And this is an invaluable way to be prepared and get those first interview nerves out of the way in a safe and constructive environment. We're really proud of our student successes. In the last 2 years, 6 of our students took up places at the notoriously competitive Oxford and Cambridge universities. 8 of our students took up places to study medicine, and in veterinary medicine, 4 of our students gained places. 46% of the 2020 cohort gained places at Russell Group universities. I share this figure somewhat reservedly because a number of our students went on to the highest ranking universities for their subject, but these just happen not to be Russell Group universities. And we are equally as proud of the growing number of our students who are embarking on prestigious degree apprenticeships and school leaver programs with leading employers that you can see there: CGI, Capgemini, KPMG, Deloitte, UBS, Menzies and TfL, just to name but a few. Every year too, our budding artists and creative progress on to art foundation courses, and a couple of our students every year elect to progress onto the local technical colleges to undertake courses ranging from catering and construction to landscaping. Which brings me on to my final slide. If you have any questions at all relating to anything I've covered in this presentation, or indeed anything you may have wished me to have covered, please do make a note of my contact details on this slide and get in touch with me. And I look forward very much to hopefully meeting with you all in person in the near future.